So before we get started, I like to just kind of go through if there's anything that you don't want to talk about, you know, kind of let me know.
I don't want to talk about Cheech's sex change operation. I don't want to talk about that.
I've watched a couple of your interviews. A lot of times it's always about, hey, with Cheech and Chong and this and that. And give me 1 second. I apologize. 1 second.
Okay.
You probably get a lot of people that are like, oh, you know, I'm your #1 fan and all that. And I want to make sure that you understand that's not the case here. 1 second. I apologize. Don't go anywhere, please.
I'm with you.
Just kind of keep this about what's going on with you. And
okay, I'm with you.
You know, everybody, I bet the one thing that you probably get a lot is, you know, what's Cheech doing? You know, where's he at? And all those things. I'm sure you don't want to hear any of that stuff. Tommy, what's the deal with our producers, Tommy, as well? I don't know what the deal is. What the heck? Dude, I'm sorry, man. I didn't. What?
This is rad, man.
This is not planned. You may think this is planned. It's not planned.
Look at this.
Listen.
Oh, Cheech got some guns on him. Cheech's been working out, man.
All right.
Is that a jailhouse build?
What is cannabis doing for you?
Put some dog tags together, man.
Welcome back. We are PV Unfiltered, the #1, and this guy I hope is going to say it too, #1 cannabis podcast in the nation. And guess who we have on today? Tommy Chong in the house. All right, I'm going to shed this stuff, Tommy.
Okay, you got it.
I don't know how you did it, man. This shit's hot. You had to live like this?
Well, I got paid a lot of money.
Well, listen, that is definitely the difference between you and I. Is there anything else left on here? I'm going to keep the vest, though.
Yeah, it looks good, man.
There. Dude, I worked on that for all of about an hour.
Oh, well,
this literally
shows.
It shows. So, no, seriously, what's going on?
We are starting Cheech and Chong dispensarias.
Are you really?
Really, and they're going to be all over the world, but we're going to start off in California.
There you
one
go.
In San Francisco, one in Los Angeles to begin with. And then we're going to expand. Marijuana is going to save the world with Cheech and Chong dispensarias.
That's all you need to say. All right, guys, the interview's over. Thank you.
Yeah, they're more than just dispensarias. What they are, because we're involved, they're going to be like community centers where whatever you need to know about pot or life or anything, you come down to our dispensarias, and we're going to have like a jobs bulletin board, you know, for people that are looking for work in the marijuana industry, and we're going to have all sorts of things. You know, we're going to have immigration lawyers to help people, you know, get across the border legally. We're going to have a lot of things, but it's going to be, we're going to start off with the Cheech and Chong dispensaria.
When's the first one coming?
Within a couple of weeks, I'm guessing, you know.
Shit, you're right there then.
Yeah, they got it on the, well, it's a public trading company, and we keep getting pushed up the financial ladder every day because you know, when we were looking for investors, we got overwhelmed, and so we got some pretty heavy, big high rollers coming in with us, and so we started off. Our plan was to do 8 points, eight dispensaries, but now it's expanded. We're going to probably start off with about 20, 25.
What countries are you in right now? With Tommy Chong?
Just as far as, well, we're a little bit in Germany. We're a little bit in, we've always been in Amsterdam, Holland.
Yeah.
We've always been there. And of course, we never got any benefits because they're all bootlegged, you know. People just used our name and our likeness. As far as I know, legally, we're not in Canada, even though it's my home country, because they won't allow celebrity weed so far, you know. But right now, I guess we're in the state of California and Oregon, Washington, Michigan. Yeah, around. We're all over.
You're doing it. So just to kind of go back, because I do have some memories as a kid, and one that I wanted to share with you, especially because my dad, I should have had a picture, because my dad and you, almost like twins.
Really?
Seriously, but back in the day,
who's your mama? Maybe I am your dad.
Hey, Daddy. No, you probably don't remember 8-tracks.
Oh, I do.
Okay, so back in the day, my parents, when you had albums coming out and you had your stuff, they had 8-tracks, and I just remembered it was like I would sit down there and fucking listen to these guys laugh, you know, on the 8-track side of it. And it's funny, I pulled up on the internet, you know, some of the old school stuff, but yeah, my dad was like a huge fan across the board. Yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from Detroit.
Oh, Detroit.
Yep.
Dad's from Detroit too. Yeah.
Yep. I was born in Detroit, and we're in Michigan as well. But yeah, so I know you like to golf.
Yes.
Are you still hitting it?
You know, since the lockdown, I haven't been out. You know, but I got a little practice pitching and putting on my roof. So every once in a while, I got to admit, you know, I'm kind of flaky when it comes to practice. But yeah, I not only hitting it, but I've got a very unique way of putting. That
I saw that.
Yeah. Well, you saw the putting.
Yeah, I did see it, and it actually works.
Oh, it works, especially when you're close to the hole. You know.
Listen, you can putt with the handle when you're close to the hole.
No, you can't. You see those guys flub the 3-footers and the 1-footer.
Yeah,
you know, miss them.
Oh yeah,
you know, because they're not thinking that hole. They're thinking the other hole. They're thinking the next one. You got to concentrate on every stroke. Every stroke, you got to be there, be present. Yeah, I've been kind of amateur tutoring Harris English. He's on the tour, and his caddy and I were in prison together, Eric Larson, and so Eric and I are always in touch. And I give unsolicited advice to Harris all the time.
You don't have to pay for it.
He came from nothing, and he came in second behind Dustin on the I forget which tournament, but was one not the last one, but the one before last. And he came in, so he's in the money, you know. And so whether they're listening to me or not, I can just every time they get, you know, they do good, I take credit because I studied the golf. It's really, golf is really the only true religion of the world. There's no other religion or activity that comes close to golf.
Why do you say that?
It's all about touch. It's all about concentration. It's all about belief and faith.
You listen, I got another parallel there.
Yeah.
That's me trying to have an orgasm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why guys, when they get older, they play golf instead of making love.
That's the only way they get the touch.
Because you never know when you're going to get lucky.
That is the truth. You know, I was listening to your podcast with Joe Rogan, which was a great podcast, by the way. and he's a funny guy, not as funny as you, but the one thing in the beginning of that podcast, which I thought was fucking hilarious, and it should somehow that should be on another album of yours, was when you you came out of nowhere and said, "The fountain of youth. I believe the fountain of youth is pussy." I mean, the look on his face, you know, when that was, unless that was planned, that was totally unexpected. And then of course,
was unexpected.
And then of course he said something about the gays, and he's like, and you're like, well, I guess, you know, he's like, can't be the dick. And you're like, no, it's got to be the fountain. That's some funny shit.
Well, it's true. You know, I mean, if nothing else, it'll keep your mind young.
Oh, you want to meet my fountain?
Yeah.
Okay. This is my fountain. This is my fiance. There's my fountain. This is Viviana.
Yeah, nice to meet you, dear.
Nice to meet you too.
Listen, she has no idea who you are.
So beautiful. So you're pretty wealthy then, huh?
What's that?
You got a lot of money then, huh?
You see what I mean? It's all about the bait. You know what I mean? No, her mom's sitting here, so I got to be really gentle because I'm actually a lot older than her mom.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for giving me the warning.
I'm actually
go off.
a little bit older than your dad too. No, that was
cool.
that was funny shit, and I love Joe Rogan, and I think he's done an amazing job, and he's very successful in what he's doing. It's just so relaxed and whatnot. And when you were on there, like I watch a lot of that. I love to watch the podcast, not just listen to them. And
Sure.
And yeah, there was so many funny things in that podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I've had fun with Joe ever since I've known him. You know, because he's so serious. You know.
Yeah, well, he is, but man, once you get him stoned and he starts laughing, that's it. You can't break him.
Oh yeah. Well, he's so intelligent, and he's one of those guys. He's always looking for knowledge. You know,
Yeah.
and like he'll go off on conspiracy theories for a while. You know?
I think that's the
And then
DMT. I think the DMT gets him there.
Come back. I'm the same way. I used to go off on conspiracy theories, and in fact, I had my own. In fact, I told him on Joe Rogan. You know, I told him what I thought was going to happen. Of course, nothing of that happened. Although I was right about Trump. You know, but yeah, I love Joe.
Yeah,
You never saw it. It wasn't on camera, but right after we did the podcast, Joe showed me around, you know, and he's got a lot of weightlifting equipment there. So I said to Joe, I says, "So do you get a chance to work out at all?" Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he sleeps.
It was the most beautiful pause because he looked at me like, "Are you serious?" And then he said, "Oh, that's a joke." He really said that. Oh, you're joking.
That I mean, I don't know him personally, but that seems to be the thing is that he is. When I started listening to his podcast, because up until then you just thought he was, you know, a UFC announcer and, you know, Fear Factor and whatever else. And then when you start listening to his podcast and you really start to get in, like the guy is a fucking wizard. Like he's so smart, you know, that sitting on the other side of him, I think would be, intimidating to do, but he just pulls it off.
Well, with me, you know, I'm such an old icon that Joe, you know, was in awe of me for many years, you know, because I was Chong, you know, and but I've been working out all my life, you know, so and hanging out in the gyms, you know, seriously.
Yeah. Well, you were the one that wasn't it Arnold Schwarzenegger that did you smoke with him or it was after?
Yeah.
It was after he won the.
Arnold used to. We used to go over to this one bodybuilder's legendary guy named Zabel Kazuski. If you ever get a chance, look him up. He was. There's a song Nat King Cole got out called "Nature Boy," and Zabel really was Nature Boy. He's one of these weird guys, and everybody used to meet over at Zabel's house. And Zabel was a kind of bodybuilder. He never really had. He was a legend. Like, he was in the Second World War, and he was part of a commando troop because he was in such good shape that he was a part of the commando squad that went behind the lines in the Philippines and in
Oh, he was really in the shit.
In this, yeah, he was right in there. And then when the Japanese surrendered, Zabel was on a ship coming home, and then they turned the ship around. They sent they sent the ship to Tokyo, and so he had to be there and accept the surrender of all the Japanese military. And so he collected all of these samurai swords, and he had a big collection of them. And he sent them home, and then he kind of forgot about them. And then, like, they were millions, thousands of dollars worth of swords. And that his mom finally one day she got sick of it being in there, and so she just gave it away. Gave the whole box.
Oh
away.
no!
But Zabel, he his whole life, man, he's such a legend. And so we used to smoke over at his house because he was so healthy. He would only smoke weed, nothing else. No booze, no nothing. And Arnold, and because he was such a legend, he was Mr. Natural. He never did any steroids, and he looked better. In fact, he would win all the body parts in the contest.
Right.
But he'd never win the overall because he was about 5'10", but almost the same size as me. But Zabel and I, and that's where I met Arnold. And so we would train, in the same gym as Arnold, never trained with him. But there's a whole camaraderie, and Zabel and the whole gym, they had the best jokes. The latest jokes would circulate in the gym. In fact, that's how I got my stand-up routine. There was a photographer named Artie Zeller. He'd come into the gym every day and tell me a new joke because he knew I was a comedian. And when I went on the road by myself, I used all those jokes as my act because I never really had an act.
Did he ever come after you and be like, all right, listen, you got to give me some weed or something for that? Something's got to go.
No, there's my stupid dog barking. Anyway, so at the gym, you always joked. Yeah, and it was like sick jokes too, The guy would be working about his ass off for
You're fine.
a contest, And so you would come up and kind of put him down, like say, wow, you've been sick? Are you okay? And then what's the matter? And so I did that with Joe Rogan.
Oh no!
It was,
and he's
funny.
a supplement freak, like in that way, and health wise, you know what I mean? Like he's going.
Yeah.
He's
Mr. Serious.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So, what did he do?
He paused. He looked at me in shock, because he's got the state-of-the-art gym.
Oh yeah.
So I said, "So do you ever get a chance to work out? Or are you too busy?" And he works out like 2-3 hours a day. Oh man, I pulled that on a few people. What would you? One time I was with George Lopez.
Oh yeah,
and he's a big fan of Cheech and Chong, So I met him in a outdoor book place, where you sell books, magazines, the outdoor ones.
Yeah, that's where you would find George Lopez. So that's where you'd see him outdoors at a book fair.
Yeah, well, not a book fair, but the vendors they're outside.
Yeah,
and So George, he said, "Oh, Tommy Chong, how are you, man? I'm a big fan, blah blah blah." And so I said, "What have you been up to, George?" He said, "Oh, I'm working." And so I acted like he was working in the thing. I said, "Oh, you sell magazines? Oh, that's good, man. You got to keep." He said, "No, you should have seen it. You should have seen it. It was classic." He said, "No, I don't work here, man. No, I mean, I'm on the road. I'm a comedian."
Wouldn't you think that, not to stop you, but wouldn't you think that, especially like in the Hispanic side, everybody would have been raised on Cheech and Chong in some way or another?
Absolutely.
Okay, so listen to this story. So here we're at our house, and my fiance, she's Mexican. Her whole family's obviously Mexican. They're all over at our house. I don't remember what it was, but I think we were doing like a preview of our engagement thing over in Thailand or whatever. And as a matter of fact, like her grandma doesn't even speak English. And so they're all sitting with this giant couch. And so here's this fucking big white guy with a whole group of Mexicans behind me on this couch, you know, and I put on Up and Smoke. None of these guys had seen Up and Smoke.
You're kidding.
No, we were all sitting there, and in less than as it got through the first scene, it was quiet, and then it was just laughing the whole fucking time. It was
they died.
Oh yeah,
and they turned them on to Cheech for the first time.
Yes.
Wow.
Wouldn't you have thought different?
No. There's very straight, middle class, upper class. That have no idea, a lot of, but no, Cheech and Chong are very street, man.
Oh fuck! I mean, I grew up on that. What who would you say is the I mean, you can't put you on the spot, but the favorite person or whoever you've smoked with that you kind of didn't expect? Because I imagine like people would be like, I got to smoke with Chong.
Yeah, sometimes, it depends. I've smoked with all the Beatles except Paul.
Fuck.
Paul's the only one I never smoked with. And the only one that smoked back with me that took the joint was George.
Oh, really?
Ringo was on rehab, and John was he was having immigration problems, so he couldn't smoke. John Paul and was the only one that I have never met Paul, and I put the word out. That's my bucket list. That before I leave the planet, I definitely want to smoke with Paul. And I've had good reports back that he's all ready for it too. No, I used to smoke with George quite a bit. I'd run into him at different hippie parties. He was a stone hippie. And so whenever we started, and he's a guitar player too. So we hung out quite a bit,
I see the guitars back there. Are you still playing? Do you play a lot?
Oh yeah. My son and I put my son, I had a band in the 90s called Chong and the Family Stoned. And so I put them back together again. I got my drummer's son is in Canada now. He's in Tofino in British Columbia. And my other son, Paris, the bass player, he's with me here. He's my manager. And so we're putting especially with this pandemic, we can't work or anything. So I put the band back together, and we're going to start doing two things. We're going to start doing art, like what do you call it? Modern art,
right?
And music. My wife is a phenomenal painter. She's an artist, and she's incredible. And so we're going to. And Cheech's wife is a concert pianist. She's going for her doctorate.
Who the fuck? Like seriously, let's just you're sitting here. These many years have gone by. I mean, total fucking icon with Cheech and Chong. I mean, you look back at those days, and now fast forward to now, and look at you guys. I mean, you have a beautiful wife. Things, and Cheech has got somebody that can play piano. I mean, what? Yeah. Would you have ever thought that back in the early on?
Cheech is going through the arts. His first wife is a sculptor, world-class sculptor. His second wife is a painter, an artist, oil painter, Patty Hyde, famous, beautiful. And now his third wife is a concert pianist. So Cheech is a patron of the arts.
Yeah, he is. He's working his way out.
And my wife is not only a phenomenal artist, and she's beautiful as can be. I mean, there was a contest called for More Magazine, I think about maybe 10 years ago. And so she entered her picture. All you had to do was send a picture in. and she thought it was. She's kind of dyslexic in a way, and she thought it was over 50, but the contest was over 40.
Oh.
And so she sent her picture in, and she was picked out of thousands of people to be in the top 20.
Wow.
And the weirdest thing, because she was the first non-model to be entered into the contest. Most were ex-models, and so she was picked to go on Oprah.
Really?
To represent all the beauties, and that was the night before I got sentenced to jail.
Oh,
so
no.
I'm sitting in Oprah, because I didn't want to steal the thunder away from her, so I made sure that no one knew I was there.
Right.
And so she got to hang with Oprah, and then the next day I got sentenced to jail for 9 months.
Wow. So you're still playing music. You're going to have are you reuniting the family band?
Yeah. We're going to get back together again because we have to do it, Zoom style. We won't be performing live, but we'll be doing performances over the, like we're doing now, But what I'm doing right now, I'm a songwriter. I've been a songwriter all my life, and the only time I write a song is when I have to. I'm one of those hippies that I just smoke my dope and watch television until the rent's due, and then I have to do something.
Dude, I got to ask you once again. I keep referencing Joe Rogan, but because he really did a great job with you, and it was so much fun. The whole story. Everybody knows the story as far as how you went to jail, and I mean, just crazy shit that Tommy Chong goes to jail for glass pipes and bongs and shit, and not marijuana. But the story that you had with Belfort, where you were writing the book,
Yeah.
I gotta hear. So you go through all this and you tell him, after all the shit that he's talking and telling how all the things he did, and then you're critiquing his book project, right?
Well, he because he's a thief, basically.
Right. Not basically. I mean, he's a thief.
So when he's telling me his real life,
right.
And then when it comes to writing a book, he steals from Tom Wolfe.
Right.
And so when he showed me what he did, I looked at it. Obviously, I mean, Belford's got a photographic memory.
Oh yeah,
one of those kind of guys. But he's one of those guys. Why spend your money when you can steal off somebody else?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of them.
And that's what he did. Just instinctively.
Right.
And so when I busted him on it, because hey, if you're going to be a writer and you're going to show me something that you wrote, and you're going to insult my intelligence by showing me some, a page out of Tom Wolfe's book, I'm going to bust you on it. And so I did. And he was upset in a way. He wasn't really upset more than he got caught, So he put it back. Again. He put it back, and then he went out and he earned his own book.
Right.
And when he and like I was right, when he wrote his experiences, it became a bestseller movie.
You said he came by your house.
Oh yeah, he came by my house. We weren't allowed to see each other because we were both on probation, and he just he peeped his horn and yelled at me, and I came to the window and he's like, I sold my book. They're going to make a movie. But you know what the capper is of the movie? They got some other thieves to finance it.
Oh no!
Yeah, the Malaysian treasurer of Malaysia. He was double dipping into the treasury.
Oh no!
And so they went to him, or I guess Jordan's connections or DiCaprio's connections. Anyway, And then the guy gets busted after the movie's out and everything. And so then the feds had to go around and collect all the goodies that this guy gave everybody. He gave DiCaprio a painting, some incredible
This is good shit.
painting, and they had to take it back. No, they never got any money off Jordan, because one thing about Jordan, he knows how to
that shit's hidden.
He knows how to hide the money.
Yeah.
I was on his podcast a couple of months ago, and we're still friends. Although his wife and my wife sure didn't get along because Jordan and I we're this other friend of ours wanted to do some kind of documentary on us, and so we're meeting for dinner. And Jordan and I are having a great time. We're talking about old times, being in prison and that. And next thing you know, my wife and his wife or his girlfriend gets in a big argument,
Ooh.
And then Jordan goes, "What's wrong?" And apparently his wife is a heavy Trump supporter. And my wife is the opposite. And so they had a big thing. And so Jordan, he stormed out of there, but he came back and he says, "To show you what a good Republican I am, I'm going to pick up the tab."
Oh shit. With somebody else's money.
Well, I guess you are, Jordan.
Oh man. So now with all this shit that's going on, I mean, obviously we don't want to get into the politics side of it, but with the COVID and shit like that, what's your take on that? I had COVID.
Oh, you did?
I did. And I didn't,
wow.
and I really didn't know that I had it. So
Yeah.
I had almost no symptoms at all. And when I did, it was literally, I was right before doing a podcast, and
Yeah.
I thought I was having like anxiety or something, and I had to leave. And somebody else did the podcast at that time because I had to leave, and the guest was actually here. And luckily it worked out good because it was our girl Janet in the office. It was one of kind of her friends and people that she's done work with, and so it worked out well. But I had I had some like sweating and nothing real major. And then that night, and I went to try to get tested, and I couldn't get tested like on immediate. They weren't doing it at that time, and it was over the 4th of July. And
right.
yeah, so the next morning, and my fiance and I were heading to Lake Havasu for the weekend, and I said, I don't think we're going to go. And then I woke up in the morning, and it was like, literally like nothing had happened. So, but I mean, obviously, it could be a lot worse for other people. And
did you get tested? Did you find out you definitely had it?
Yeah. So,
and did you quarantine and all that?
Well, at that time, I was quarantined in Lake Havasu.
Oh yeah.
And I was on a boat. But then at our office, 2 months later, actually 3 months later, we have 100 plus employees here,
Sure.
and another 80 or 90 in Michigan, and then some in Oklahoma. But nobody had anything at all. And so we got one person here had said that her boyfriend or the girlfriend or whatever had tested positive. So we said, let's get everybody tested here. And so our girl here started, we said, let's just take everybody in vans to go get them tested in big giant van. And then we put, 6-8 people in the van and away they go. The very first 4 tests that came out were positive. And they had no idea at all.
Whoa.
And and then so we ended up.
Was that because of you? Did you spread it all?
No, this was 3 months later. I didn't spread shit.
Okay.
My fiance never got it.
Yeah.
But that's probably.
So you had a mild case then.
Yeah, absolutely. And so over the period of this time, we had everybody tested, and then of course quarantine and the whole thing. And I think we ended up with, out of the group here, like 13 or 14 that ended up having COVID. And that would be over a month ago now. But out of all of them, only a few of them really had any symptoms. Most of them didn't even know they had it at all. and they quarantined, and then we did have 2 girls that had like headaches and whatnot. But it just tells you like this thing is all over the board.
Oh yeah. It's a virus. It's a virus, like the flu. Only people when they're older or more susceptible or whatever. You don't know.
Right.
Well, the thing is, we're like I told on Joe Rogan. We're eternal beings. We just go away for a little while and then we come back. And this is just, I think it's just nature's way of telling everybody, okay, slow down. Especially with the climate change.
Yeah.
We're coming into we're burning up that fossil fuel pretty crazy, and now we're not. And so I think there's a lot of good things that are coming out of this, and plus there's innovations that are happening right now because you got people sitting at home with nothing to do but create.
Right.
So
I mean, look at you. You're reuniting a band.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, in all honesty, I mean, this is like, so doing the Zoom podcast and whatnot, it's not real tangible, but it's fun, it still remains fun and you get that side of it. But this is a sign of, I think, the direction that the world is going. We're back into outside eateries. I mean, the streets are filled now with doing restaurants outside, and so I think in kind of in a positive way, it's getting people to get outside the box, and like you said,
families are sitting and having meals together, without the internet, or with families are gathering together. Yeah, you're appreciating your grandma and your grandpa and your aunts and uncles, a lot more than you did before, especially when you can't be with them when they're sick.
Right.
No, there's a lot of good things coming, and it's a lot of spiritual awakenings that are happening. Whether you want to or not, you got
it is happening.
No choice, yeah.
As far as your kids, are they? So Paris is in BC.
No, Joe Brown's in BC, British Columbia. Paris is here.
Okay.
We see him almost every day.
Oh, nice.
He just had a little baby.
Nice.
He's got a 11-day-old baby. Oh. Beautiful little Kira. He's married to a beautiful lady from Jakarta, a Muslim, and we got a rainbow coalition family. 'Cause, my 2 daughters are black. My rest of my kids have white and Chinese, something, and everything.
Everybody's something. Yeah. So all the kids are doing well.
And like I say, we're closer to the family now than we've ever been. Ever.
And isn't it crazy? Like you look at a person like yourself that's got to be just 7/24, running nonstop. Yeah. And now you're getting the other side of that, where look at you now. I mean, this is everybody though.
I'm enjoying my life now more than I ever have yet in my, because other than that, you're traveling, and when you travel, you can't do anything the day of your travel.
Right. Right.
You just got to get up, line up, get on the plane, go to wherever you're going, check into a hotel, maybe have a little snooze, maybe have a little dinner, and then go to work, and then, do it all over again somewhere else. And life went by real fast. Now I've done it. I don't feel bad about doing what I did, but I'm really enjoying not having to go anywhere. I'm enjoying having my wife cook for me. They asked me, "What do you do all day?" I said, "Well, I check out all my weed, and then I wait for supper."
That sounds like somebody else here. That's exactly what my fiance does. That's all I do. Yeah, it's like okay, 10:30, 11 o'clock. I think I'm going to have lunch fist, and then that consists of about a half a bag of gummies, and then I get home and the jacuzzi's already fired up, and it's like, hey baby, how was your day? She's like, Let me think about that. My day was great. From what I can remember, it was the best day ever.
Yeah, I'm binge watching the best
Oh shit!
television I've ever seen. I'm looking at shows that I would never see.
What have you watched lately? Because
I'll start with The Great. You know the story of Catherine the Great.
The Great. Is that Netflix?
The Great. It's called The Great. It's one of the best Catherine the Great movies ever. Not Helen Mirren. This is like a European unknown
subtitles.
I'll start with that. Then we binge watched a thing called Good Behavior.
I've heard of that.
Write it down, man. Good Behavior. It is. My wife keeps calling it bad behavior because it really is a play on words. Good behavior is like what you get when you get act really good in prison. Good behavior. And now here's a movie that I've been touting for everybody, and no one really. My wife didn't like it that much. She fell asleep in it. I laughed my ass off.
Must be Nice Dreams.
It's called Drunk Parents.
Oh shit! With Alex Baldwin.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it, but we've been skipping past that on Netflix.
Get stoned. You will laugh your ass off. Jim Gaffigan, you know, the comedian. I can never pronounce his last name.
Oh.
But anyway, he plays a...
Gaffigan. Gaffigan, right? Yeah, he's funny as shit. His stand-up is funny.
Listen, he plays a newly released sex offender.
that starts off right there. Newly released.
You will laugh. Oh man, I just laugh. And the writing is so good. Now my wife, you know, she takes 3 dance classes a day and plus yoga. And so she'll get quarter way through a movie and then she'll fall asleep, you know. And, and then the Outlanders. See the Outlanders. Got to see the Outlanders. Start from the beginning. Don't start in the middle. Start from the beginning, right from one, you know, A to B. Outlanders. Oh, I can go on, man, but that's enough right now.
Yeah.
You get that? Oh man. And Frank Sinatra biography. The Frank Sinatra. If like I'm a singer,
yeah,
you know, I got into singing with Motown years ago, but I really got into working on it when I was on The Masked Singer, and I took singing lessons, and so I really got into it, and so I watched Frank, and if you're a singer, man, his life story just
it's amazing. It's amazing.
Oh, he's so good.
Speaking of Masked Singer, so I had no fucking clue that you were the pineapple.
I know.
And it like never would have guessed that you, I mean, at all. And the funny thing is you go back and you watch it and it's like everybody was guessing. They were all somewhere in the area, but nobody like really truly got it.
No, you know, they thought it was Cheech. They always mix this up.
That's what I mean. It was like one of those things.
They think Cheech is Chong. What's your name? The girl judge. She said, "Oh, that's Cheech. That's Cheech." But then when they unmasked me, it was Chong.
Oh shit! So one question that one of our guys here wanted me to ask, and listen, you probably get all kinds of stuff. For some reason, he wants to know what you did in the shower when you were Squirrel Master.
Oh,
that's not my question, but he's like, man, can you just ask him?
Yeah. But I remember the scene. It was a fight scene. I had to.
It was in the shower. You know,
I had to straighten someone out. I don't know. I can't remember why. It wasn't. I don't think it was a sexual thing. It was something else. I can't remember. Squirrel Master. Isn't it weird? And then, a year later, I end up going to jail. and I end up having. We used to feed the squirrels, the ground squirrels, and we had one that you'd use food and would crawl up your leg, and they're cute little things, and they got little hands like raccoons, you know. They take it out of your hand and they do little things and they eat it. Yeah, the food was so bad. In the,
the squirrels were all fat.
In the mess, yeah. We would take all the food and feed the squirrels. And the squirrels got so fat that the hawks, they couldn't get it back in their holes. And the hawks would come and grab them.
Oh, no. Then the hawks were fat.
Oh, yeah, the hawks got fat. Everybody got fat.
Oh, man, we just changed
I was
the
in
ecosystem on that one.
Capped, but it was originally a woman's prison. And so we had doors on the
You guys
showers.
had to sit down and pee?
Yeah, we had doors on the showers, doors on the shitters. And yeah, it was, and we had our own water tower. So we could take unlimited showers. So these hardened criminals in there spending an hour in the shower.
Hey, why is all the conditioner gone?
Yeah.
Would you say? I mean, obviously, you could do without going. I went to jail one time for DUI, and and then I went to jail. The next time was we got raided here, and so I went to jail for cannabis.
Yeah,
we were manufacturing, but
yeah.
I can tell you this, on my part, there was nothing about jail that had anything that formed any of my life in any way, shape, or form other than I don't ever fucking drink and drive, and I'm licensed in every state that we're in for cannabis.
So it did change your life.
Okay, yeah, you're right. On your part, how long was your sentence? And you did 9 months, right?
Yeah, I did 9 months. Yeah.
But you're
it's federal, so when you get sentenced in federal, you do your whole time. There's no good time.
Okay.
Off for good time. You do your whole time unless you get pardoned or something. I did 9 months. It was good for me because of my age and everything. You know, I turned it into a spiritual retreat.
Yeah,
I really did. And I just and they had Indian grounds, sweat lodges, and you know, we had a sweat lodge, and after,
were you really in prison?
Yeah, I'm telling you, because the sweat lodge faced away from the prison, and it was in the desert. So I felt like I was on, you know, like in India, a regular Indian grounds, you know, and they were sacred grounds, and so the guards would not patrol there. You know, they did a raid one time. We were in there, and they made us get out of the sweat lodge and stand there, and you know, in our little skivvies, you know. But you know, we're in prison, you know, so every once in a while you have to do the little prison dance, you know. And it would only happen one time. We actually, you know, the prison is really run by prisoners, you know, because guards, you know, they're not really equipped, you know, all the, you know, because it's in the country.
Right.
You don't get any really brilliant, although some of the COs were like National Guard guys, you know, and it was a job is like a prison guard is like a caretaker, you know, like a janitor, you know, you just walk around, wiggle the doors, make sure the locks are working, you know, that kind of crap.
Is it that like, how big is the cell in there?
Well, we weren't in cells. We were in a dormitory.
Oh.
So it's like a big college dorm.
Gotcha.
And we had cubicles. And the cubicles, you could see, they were 6 foot high. And so you could see, you know, if you're tall enough, you could see over them. And they had, you know, the bathrooms and the showers, you know, they're enough for everybody. It was, and then they had a TV room where you could watch television 24 hours if you wanted to, you know, after you do the count and all the, you know, the regular stuff that you had to do. No, it was, for me, it was like being, you know, embedded with my fans.
Yeah, I was that was my next question. It's like, how many autographs did you have to sign in there?
Oh, well, they changed the rules for me. They said I was not allowed to take pictures or sign autographs in the visiting room. because it turned out to be they found out I was there, and so next thing you know, everybody was getting more visitors than they usually got.
They're like, I don't know if I want to thank you, but my wife is coming to visit me every day now.
Yeah. Well, you're only allowed to visit. You get so many hours of visitations, and if you use them up, then you're not allowed any more visits. But everybody, was cashing in on it, and it was putting a strain on the guards and that had to watch the visitors. Usually they don't have to do anything, and so they had a law that I wasn't allowed to do autographs. But then I had to break that law, because sometimes people would travel for miles, just to get my autograph. And one time,
hey, hang on a second, Mr. Guard. Hang on a second. All right, I got 30 people in line here. Let me get through my shit.
No, what you do is you go right to the control center, it's called, and you report anything. And so they have a report. And so when they find out, they go through films, because what they do, they film everything. And then they saw that I was signing, and then I get called into control. I used to get called into control almost every day because, yeah.
You had to think about that?
No, because the snitches there would try to give me marijuana.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And then they would call me in and drug test me. They were trying to get me dirty, so then they would justify me being there.
Wow, you got to worry about that. That's crazy. I never thought about that.
No, I didn't worry about it. I just refused it. I almost took the first time, but I had a friend of mine, my dog. Everybody has a sidekick,
Right.
And I had this big old white racist biker. He was my dog.
And my dog.
He was my dog. He had tattoos all over, and he was bare chested, and he had a tattoo on his back that said "White Power." His name was Steve. Let me tell you how I met Steve.
White Power.
We got to get a picture
Let me
of
tell you how
that.
I met Steve. There's a lot of like peaceful bikers in there, tons of them.
Right.
The Moguls, the Hells Angels, all of them. But they were the non-violent ones.
Right.
And so when I first went in, I was doing tango lessons. Argentine tango, and so the hardest thing about tango is the walk. And so I used to practice the tango walk by myself on the basketball court.
Oh, dude, this is
course,
this. You wouldn't do that in a normal prison.
Yeah,
that's like a mating call.
Doing that in prison, would shock everybody. But I'm an entertainer. I'm used to people watching me, and I don't care,
Right.
Watches. So I'm practicing my tango. And so the bikers used to gather when I would do it, and they'd all gather around. And then finally, Steve, it was his name, he goes, "Hey, Chong, you don't have to dance alone. I'll dance with you." And so I walked up. I didn't miss a beat. I walked over, and I took him in my arms.
Oh, no.
And he got all homophobic. Well, he became my dog from that moment on. We became
man, what a great
friends.
story!
And he was a serial, prisoner. He would go, he would spend more time in prison than he would spend outside, because he smuggled dope, he smuggled illegal aliens, he smuggled everything, and he was a criminal, basically.
Yeah.
But he was one of the sweetest and most gentle giants. He wasn't tall, but he was big, but he was so gullible. He was like my Cheech.
Oh,
I
that
had
is
more
funny.
fun with him.
White Power.
Yeah,
I mean, you're so diverse, in everything that you do and your family and everything. And your best buddy is Steve with White Power on his back.
Yeah, White Power. He was great. Oh, he was best. We had the best time. And I told him, I said, teach me how to do time, because it's my first time in jail. And the first thing
he's like, teach you how to do time. All right, here's the deal. Bend over.
No, I mean, that's part of it. That's definitely part of it. He told me a funny one about that, about the gay stuff. The gays had their own dormitory. I wasn't in it. I was in the other one, but they have a dormitory. It's all
Really?
days. Oh yeah. And one time when we were there, they sent a guy that had he was no, not a transvestite. He was gay. He was making the changes from being a guy to a girl.
Right.
But
Transsexual?
he was older, and he had gotten some titties, but he had a beard and long hair and titties, and so they had him in the main prison, and because the main prison was mostly Latino Mexicans, they hated Jotos, they hated anybody gay, that was horrible, and so they sent him over to our prison, over to the camp. And at first, everybody ostracized the guy, I forget his name. It'll come to me. But anyway, because, I was such a celebrity, I walked over, like he was in the yard, and he was like, everybody was like, ignoring him, and they were being mean to him. And so I walked over and shook his hand and talked to him, and in other words, I welcomed him into our prison. And as soon as I did that, then everybody, they said, "Oh, okay, Chong says he's cool. And so then,
and then later on, a couple nights later, you find him and Steve together. What power!
So Tommy, you were running the prisons, huh?
Steve told me the funniest story about. He said he walked by, some of the in the main prison, they have solitary confinement,
right?
And they just got a small window, just a small window there,
right?
And so he walked by this window, and he sees this guy going. Oh
no smile on his face.
What's going on? And then he kind of looked past the window and he turned out.
That's my backpack.
No, they had it. No, that's stuff for the movies, Oh, by the way, before I went into jail, I watched Shawshank Redemption.
Oh shit!
I binge watched it.
Why would you do that?
And not only that, but this writer wrote. He sent me a script, and he said, "I want to write a script." He said, "Let me write a script for you." And so he wrote a script, and it was about bongs doing time in jail, like little animated bongs.
Yeah.
And the bongs in jail. All this was foreshadowing what I was about to do. I had no idea.
No shit.
Feds were watching me. The feds were watching me for a year, and that they had helicopters. And one time, a bunch of feds pulled up outside my house on bicycles, and
Mormons.
And they engaged me in conversation. Like, hey, what kind of plants are those? They're palms. And I was so clueless.
Oh man!
And one time we're selling bongs in Texas, in Arlington, and the bong and all these feds were in there. And they had the headbands on, and they had cameras, in their knapsacks, and they're pretending they were hippies, and everybody, all the people that worked there knew they were DEA.
So were they just fucking with them?
DEA T-shirts, and they would follow these guys around with DEA T-shirts.
Oh no!
I still never got the hint. They took me and said, "Can we talk to you?" They took me outside, and they said, "Okay, now these bongs, they're not really just for tobacco use only, are they?" And of course, I said, "Oh no,
Try to incriminate you.
It was, and they filmed it all.
Dude, you got. I'll bet the feds have a movie in itself with just you.
They did
with all that footage. You should go back and charge them,
because the ways the laws are. We got a hold of it all, and we found out that it was entrapment. It was entrapment. I could have walked out of that case without no problem at all. But what they said, they said that okay, you're innocent, but we're going to go after your son and your daughter and your wife, and we'll make it stick. They will do time, you know. And so I had no choice, man. I said, of course, you know.
It's fucked up.
I want the experience. They don't need the experience, but I sure do.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get that. You look at this now and where you came from, you know, back in the day. I mean, think about it, you know, 75. I mean, marijuana was as illegal as it could ever be at that time. And you guys set the precedence on where this, I mean, naturalizing it. It's just crazy. And then fast forward all that time and you go to prison for fucking bongs. Not weed. Yeah. But bongs.
Yeah. In fact, I did a movie, Car Wash with Dr. Dre and Snoop. Uh-huh. And in the movie, I'm selling bongs. And I sell bongs because but I charge them the same price. The weed is free. And I sell them bongs.
Here's a $360. Here's a $360 bong.
I go to jail for selling bongs.
Fuck. Hey, I have to ask you for, you know, like I said in the beginning, I'm not going to go too far into the Cheech and Chong shit, but Stacy Keach, were you guys always friends or?
No, Lou Adler, the guy that directed it, our record producer, and the guy that owned Old Records that he ended up directing our first movie, which was Up in Smoke. And we got Robert Altman's crew because I loved Robert Altman. I loved everything he's done. And so we got his crew. And Stacy had done quite a few movies with Robert Altman. And so when we were looking for a cop, Stadenko, I wanted Shecky Green. You know, I wanted to keep all the comedians working. Right. But Lou Adler suggested Stacy, and it was such a good choice.
Oh fuck. God. I mean, I got to tell you, there were times that I would go back and just watch those sections. I mean, you take that guy that was, how he ended up in a Cheech and Chong movie in itself is crazy from where he was at in acting and what he was doing at that time. Like people were like, what are you thinking? You know, especially in the beginning. But I mean, what a fucking amazing job that guy did. And I could watch that car scene where he gets pissed on in the bathroom a million times. And every time when he walks out the door and the dog's laying there upside down, and he's like, "That's some good shit. It must be some good shit."
That was all Stacy. He wrote every line that he said in that movie. He wrote it.
Did he really?
It was his own stuff. Yeah.
And when what's his name shot the fucking tire on the car?
Yeah,
dude, I don't know how many takes that was. But it was even now, like I said, to watch that when they finally stop the car and he gets out and he's scolding him and he's like running and he's got the gun kind of pointed back at him and he's yelling, "Get over here!" I mean, like the whole thing, the guy was a master, and I think it really, like that whole thing honed that movie together because it showed you, you know, at that time mainstream actors, you know, that guy
doing comedy.
Yeah, he fucking went out on
and doing iconic comedy.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and Stacy is. I mean, that movie put all those guys on it, and all the cops that came with Stacy. That was Stacy. It was all his buddies and people that he'd worked with.
Oh, it was.
You know, yeah. He grabbed everybody, and the gangsters. You know, they were real. They were what do you call it? Racetrack guys, you know, guys that hung out at the racetrack.
Oh, really?
The horse racing.
Shit!
all the bad gangsters. Val Avery and Val was a known gangster in movies. You know, he always played, and they were like real kind of, you know, real life guys that hung out with gangsters and that. Oh no. Lou Adler and Stacy and them, you know, that whole side. Cheech and I just concentrated on the Cheech and Chong part, and Lou Adler and them. Stacy he was such a genius.
That had been so much fun.
Yeah, we had Stacy in Nice Dreams too.
Yeah,
but I never had. I wrote most of. Well, Stacy did his own thing, but in Up in Smoke, I wasn't even on the set when he did his stuff. He he was so cool.
I mean, so did you guys become friends? Was it?
No, professional friends.
Yeah.
Not hang out with each other.
Right.
He's always working anyway.
Man.
But every once in a while there'll be a reunion or something. We get together. Stacy paid me the nicest compliment on Nice Dreams, and I was directing it, and in it as well.
Right.
And so in between takes, I'd find a place, a floor where I could sleep. because I was on the set from morning to night.
You're doing the whole thing.
Yeah. And so, and at the time I needed my nap. And I look over and Stacy's laying beside me.
Oh, no.
He took
with the long hair?
He took a nap with me.
Did he really?
Yeah. To me, that was one of the nicest compliments you could pay, because it was like respect.
Do you think
very, very respectful?
Do you think the guy that they saw in the window in the prison thought the same thing? He's like, that's the best thing could ever happen. Was oh man, yeah, that must have been.
Steve had that sense of humor. My dog. One thing we did just before we got there was a guy, Big John. Big John was a lawyer, and he was like a jailhouse lawyer. He was a guy that no matter what the charge was, he would tell the guy, "Hey, I can get you out. You shouldn't be in here. What you got to do is this and that." And he was like, he became and he was like kind of overweight, and he would get on the exercise bike, and you could hear the bike groan. You could hear the bike go, "Oh no, John.
I'm not in for this."
He's like good over 200 pounds. And then at night, you'd see him walking to the midnight TV with a shopping bag full of burritos. I mean, literally. In order to keep that weight, he had to eat. Spend 4 or 5 hours eating. And so, but it was, and the thing is, when you're there, things start annoying you. People's habits are annoying. Like there was a group of guys that would sing, and they were learning what's the name? Eagles song, and they would sing it over and over and over.
Oh,
again.
come on!
Get it to the worst. Wouldn't get to the right part, and I'm a musician, and after a while, it just bugged me, and it started getting little things that bug you like that.
Especially because you probably knew the Eagles.
Yeah. So John, Big John. Anyway, he was like a pain, and so then I had another friend, Howard. He worked in the parts department where you get the tools and everything. He had been in there for quite a while, and he was a cool guy, Howard. And so, but Howard used to work. He had been there for years, so he used to work as a typist or something in the main office. Like I say, all prisoners work, and so we thought of this trick we would play on Big John. Howard got a legal paper, a document, blank, that made you indictment paper, like you were hereby ordered to appear before da da da. And so Howard typed in Big John's name and then did a phony signature and everything else. And it was for April's Fools. And so we had this paper, indictment paper, and you are hereby, and the charge was giving unsolicited legal advice
in prison.
Yeah.
Violation of probation.
Yeah. And so we laid it on his bunk April 1st.
Right.
On John's bunk. And so Steve was part of it. Steve laid it on his bunk, and so I was somewhere else. I forget where it was. And so Steve came back and he says, "Okay, he's got it. He's reading it now." And then he checked back. Oh, he says, John's sitting there. His color drained from his face.
He's like, shit.
He's sitting there like he's just. He really went for it. He went for it, and so then Steve was so nice. John said, "What's up? What's the matter, John?" John says, "Just handed him the paper. Look what I got." And Steve took it, looked at it, and he goes, John, you know what I think of this?" Just ripped it up. Throw it in the garbage. He's out of it. And then John figured out, who's behind it. Oh man!
Somebody should have said. Somebody should have said to him, "You know what? I can get you out of this."
That's so true. That's what Steve should have said. "Hey, John, I can get you out of this."
I think I can get you out of this one. In the meantime, Belfort's trying to figure out how he can get John's burritos and everything else he owns.
Yeah. No, it was funny. And then so John tried to get back at me. He tried to get back at me. So I was having a shower one day, and this woman, CO, comes in. Comes in the shower.
Oh shit!
They had doors in there, So, and she just walks in. She says, "Can I speak to you for a minute?" I looked at her. Can it wait until after I finish? And she laughed. She said, "John." She told me John sent me in.
You should have said, "Yeah, you bring some conditioner in here for me, please."
Yeah, she was quite attractive. The only trouble was, we're in jail.
Yeah, fucking cameras
kind
everywhere.
Against the law to hanky panky with the prison staff.
Oh,
that went on too, though.
Oh, I'm sure, absolutely, all kinds of weird shit. What would you say of all the things you've done? What's the biggest? And this is me asking. What's the biggest thing you could say that made you the happiest? I'm not talking about kids. I know how that is. I'm saying, like, go through your movies and stuff.
I think, Jordan Belfort probably was the best one. Helping Jordan write a bestseller.
That's crazy, huh?
And just helping him by being honest with him. Because think of his. I mean, he was lost.
He still is.
And I turned him into an author, and he's a writer, and he's got a podcast. And he goes around and gives self-help speeches.
Yeah, no, I saw. Do you think he's reformed in that way?
Somewhat, yeah.
Because I always wonder, like, does that mentality go away?
He can't help it. I don't know. I really don't know if he's like totally reformed, but he's reformed enough. The thing is, he is a genius.
Yeah, you can't take that away from him.
And the thing, there's that movie, Good Behavior.
Right.
She's a kleptomaniac. She can't help but steal. And I don't know, Jordan might have the same problem, because you get a choice, you can pay for it or you can steal it. And I don't know. I really don't know. But Jordan, that was the most visible thing. I think the little things, with people, I got a trick I do. And it's not really a trick. It's actually quite instead of trying to change anybody, because that's one thing. When you get into the spiritual world, you learn that you're not here to change anybody.
Right.
You're here to be an example. That's what you are. You want to change anybody, you change by leading. You lead by example, in a word, anyway. Because there's some people that they're not here to become you. They're not here to think like you do or anything else. But there's also there's so many people that need direction, and what I've learned, especially when I was locked up, because I did a lot of reading, a lot of spiritual books,
Right.
Not a lot, but there is Joel Goldsmith and Emmett Fox, that I read. And these are mystics that lived a normal life and then found the key, the golden key, it's called, of life. Now, the trick is, how do you get other people involved? How do you spread the message? And what I did with my daughter is that, because I'm getting old, and when I had my cancer operation, I couldn't read. My eyesight wasn't that great, and so I would have my daughters read to me, and we called it a chapter. Read me a chapter, and what happened is that when they read the chapter to me,
They're getting it.
Get the benefit.
That is a bit of a trick.
It's not me saying, here's what you got to do. It's me saying, read this to me. Remind me of what I have to do. And then it can't help but help them,
Yeah.
And so when I can do that with my daughter, or, someone that really wants to evolve to that point. And unfortunately, I'm limited. I can't do it with my wife. She doesn't need it. She's already there in some respects. And here's the thing, what I tell people, because sometimes when you find the path, you get excited. You want to show everybody the path.
Right.
Well, the thing is, I say, listen, don't give anybody directions unless they ask for it. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because they may not be heading in that direction.
And that's okay.
And so that's fine, because
they're just taking a different path.
Well, same thing as like in the gym. When I first started working out, I learned a few basics, and then I would see someone doing them wrong, so I would volunteer to show them, help them. And a lot of times, sometimes it would be receptive, and other times they would be kind of like, bug off,
Yeah.
What are you doing? And so Zabel, my hero, told me, he says, save your breath.
You're going to need it on the next set.
Save your breath.
You're going to need it on the next set.
And so what he would do at Gold's Gym in the beginning, they'd say, Zabel, how much is it? He said, $25 a month, put the weights away, and no instruction. No instruction.
Wow.
And that's life. That is life. Because people, you have to let them find out, like a kid walking. You don't help them all the time. You let them fall.
Right.
That's how they learn how to walk. And let them do it themselves, And so that's what I've learned. And that's what I now, you still want to help people, but the best way that I found, is just me again, is just by example. Like when people say, how are you getting by this pandemic? I'm loving it.
Well, what a way to sum it up, right? But I mean, there's a lot of truth, and what an amazing story. Like you're sitting here talking about, and I'm listening because you're like, it's not really a trick. And then when you describe it, it's kind of a guru thing where, like you said, like your daughters are reading you things that not only you are wanting to learn, but they're learning and don't even know it.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
Well, they know it. They know it because it changed their life.
Well, they know it later. But I mean, as they're reading it to you, they're learning it, but unintentionally. They're doing you a favor by reading to you, but they're learning it. And later on, they go, wow.
Well, that's why teaching is such a great profession, if you love it. Because as you teach, you're reminding yourself of things that you forgot, Yeah. And every time you see a pupil grasp it, say, oh, I got it, And, it gives you a thrill.
Right.
I can see why people are teachers. But you have to have that thing. My one son, that he got a degree in music, and everybody was trying to tell him, oh, you should do this, you should do that, and you should be a teacher. Right? And so he tried it, and it's just not him.
Right.
He's not into it. He's a musician. He wants to play his own music, and I respect that. And now that's where we're at in our life.
You go back and kind of to sum it all up, what's amazing about this is that you take an icon like yourself, and obviously Cheech in what you guys have done and accomplished. And I mean, this is, this started with cannabis, and your whole life has been cannabis, whether you're smoking or not, that's who you are. And I think the greatest thing about that is I did a podcast with somebody not too long ago in the industry that was a child actor. And, and a lot of people just don't want to talk about those things, and was very good, but I didn't know, it was one of those things I found out later on. Amazing guy. I don't want to say his name on here because it was one of those things that he never even said, like, let's not talk about it. I just didn't know, and I didn't talk about it. And then I learned later on the movies and whatnot that he was in. But like, this has been your whole life, and look at what you've done. I don't know that you will really, and if you do, that's great. And I hope that you do at some point understand the impact of what that first movie. And I understand, you were a musician and by heart, the things that you did in the early side of with the shades and everything that went on, that like those are all things that have formed you. But now, what took place from that first movie to today? I mean, that's just amazing, and what it's done for the cannabis industry. There's a lot of people we can sit and talk about, but dude, I mean, you're talking about what you were doing at that time. You could have done a lot more time than 9 months in prison for glass. You know what I mean? And, but you've lived that life, and you're an icon. It's got to be just a weird feeling all the time, that's the case for you.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's really helpful when you need a seat in a restaurant. or the DMV. I go to the DMV and they go, oh, okay, come on up, And what I do, I bring little presents for the manager or the boss,
Right.
And I brought her some chocolate one time, and I told her, but she wasn't listening. I said, they're loaded. And so her husband went to a movie, and they ate the whole chocolate bar.
Oh, God. Oh, and no.
They barely made it home.
Oh, shit.
But yeah.
So, well,
My son.
I have a story for you on that I got to share.
Okay.
And so if you got another minute,
Sure.
So my fiance was new into edibles, and so I don't know if you know who Dan Bilzerian is.
Who?
Dan Bilzerian.
Who is that?
So he's the guy that owns or is the front of Ignite, and he's a social media Instagram guy with all the girls all around him, and does that whole thing. Anyways, very popular in the social media, and you can look him up. So he had a party at his place up in Bel Air, and we got invited to this party, and I'm going to give you the whole story because it is kind of funny. So I'm flying back from Michigan or wherever I was at, and I had told her, I said, hey, if you want to go to this party, when I get home, I'm going to shower and we got to go. And then we have a limo bus taking us up to Bel Air. And it was myself and I think 9 other guys. And so I get home and I jump in the shower, and she's almost done getting ready, and she has this dress on, and she has like a vanity, and next to that was a step that went up into the bed area. And so I sat down to put my shoes on, and the vanity is right to the right of me. And I look over and she's there, and I kind of look, and I look again, and we're in a rush, and she's got this dress on and both her titties are hanging out. And so I'm like, okay, I'm kind of looking like, oh man, I don't want to start this fight. So I tie my shoes. I get up, and as I get up, she turns to stand up, and the dress has like these big open all the way down. And as she turns, boom, there's the vagina. Just like right there. So, I was just like, I'm not going to start the fight. So I go down, we go to get in the car. I open up her door. She sits down. Boom, vagina, turns, tit. I'm like, oh man, and we have no time to fight about this. Start driving. We get about halfway there, and I said to her, could you at least have wore panties, And she's, oh, okay, yeah. So now you want to fight about it, and I said, never mind. Let's just go. I said, we got 9 people. We're in a limo bus, So she takes a gummy and a little hit off a vape pen, and we get in the limo bus, and my buddies are all in there, and next thing you know, one of them say, hey, have you ever tried this chocolate? No. At that time, 20 milligrams was max for her. So we're riding along, and from San Diego to up to Bel Air is a bit of a drive. She's hitting the vape pen, and then pretty soon they're like, hey, have you tried these gummies? And now she's eating chocolate. I'm sitting here trying to fucking calculate how much she's consuming as she's hitting a vape pen and all this shit. And then I just finally said, hey, lighten up, all right? You're over 50 milligrams right now. When this shit hits, you're gonna be in trouble. Oh no, everything's fine. It's fine. I don't know. So we get up to Dan Bilzerian's house, and we get inside, and it's a $100 million house up there, and we're outside in the pool area. It's just palatial, beautiful place, and it was Jay-Z's old house, and so I'm standing at a high top. And I have my arm on there, and I'm talking. There's a bunch of people, and I'm talking to some people, and she's standing like right here inside my arm, kind of, and we're just talking. And I look at her, and her eyes were just they started to give a little backward swirl, And so I'm like keeping my eyes on her, and I'm talking, and all of a sudden, I look at, and she looks at me, and she had this look, and both eyes just literally, I think they both went back this way, and down she goes. So I also have coworkers or people that work for me that are with us at this. I grab her, and now it's just like a dead body. I don't care who it is. It's heavy. So I'm like holding, and people are looking, and I'm like, hey, little help over here, So next thing you know, my buddy brings a chair over, a lawn chair thing. I set her in the chair, right? And I'm trying to hold her up because she's wanting to slump down. And then, of course, I got everybody and their mother wants to help. You know what I mean? If that was my ass, fuck, I'd have been on the ground. They would have used me as a fucking step stool. You know what I mean? I think somehow there was fucking fire chief and paramedics were already there. And so there she sits in this chair. This is the God's honest truth. And she can tell you, she doesn't remember, but she's right here. But literally legs apart, full vagina, no underwear, both tits hanging out. My guy goes, and I'm trying to hold her up. My guy goes and grabs the little piece of clothing and pulls it over. He goes, I'll just cover this. It covers her vagina. And then the other guy grabs, and then they both cover her titties. And you know, I'm sitting there, and she's out, you know, and then she comes up, she's like, oh, did I pass out? You know, there's this look. I'm like, yeah, and everybody got to see everything. And then I told her, I said, you know, Preston, he's the one, he covered your vagina. And she's like, well, why didn't you do it? How come you didn't cover it? Why? Now I'm in trouble because he covered your vagina. So,
Yeah. I was going to ask you that. I mean, in the
listen, I was just trying to
all that fun you've had with that vagina, and you ignored it.
So the whole fight was, I'm like, you're gonna be battling this shit all night. You're gonna be trying to keep this in and keep this here and keep this here, you know. And it's like, really, and that was the end result. It was the worst possible thing that could happen. Literally exploded and yard sailed. And I mean, I'm not even joking. I had people bringing CBD water. I don't know where all this shit was coming from. I think she was getting gift bags. It was like, fuck, everything you think of. And if that was me, my shit would have been, hey, we're going to have to ask you to leave.
I think you should make a movie of that.
As a matter of fact, I think they asked me to leave after they seen her vagina.
You'll write a book.
Like, sir, we're going to have to ask you to leave. No, you stay. He's got to go.
Yeah, after you asking you to leave. Yeah. We'll take care. We got it from here.
But somehow, out of the whole thing, I get in trouble because I'm trying to hold her up, and my buddy covers her vagina, and she's mad about that.
Well, of course. That's your job, dude.
Oh, man. So listen, back to that. Now, once again, dude, you're an icon. Look at what you've done for this industry because, you know, this whole thing that I do on this podcast is really like what has cannabis done for you? And it's always, it's, you know, that's the base of this. This isn't like a sitting around getting high and that's great. I love those too. You know what I mean? But, but it's really getting people to understand that, you know, cannabis isn't that evil fucking dark place that everybody has made it out to be. And then you take, for example, your life. What an amazing life, an amazing person. There's a million things we could have gone, you know, we could go into just knowing that you're how long have you been dancing? You know, they like all these things that you've done, writing books, movies, music. I don't know other than, you know, I don't know what it would be, but look at what somebody like yourself has done in this world, on this planet. And cannabis has been a part of your life, almost your whole life. I mean, you've had bouts where you haven't smoked, obviously, but you know, even then, like look at.
Well, like I say, things were ordained. You know, obviously, this is why I'm here.
Right.
This is my job. This is why, you know, I was, you know, what do you call it? Blessed, right early. I did a show one time. Well, not a show. What they do when you get old comedians, they get a free show out of you. They honor you. You know,
right?
I mean, I'd rather be honored with some cash, but they honor you and maybe give you a plaque or some kind of trophy or something.
A trophy.
You have been honored. And so what I do when I get honored, I don't do comedy. I don't do a bit.
No.
I get very, very, very spiritual to the point. I was at Skirball up here in the Jewish Center, and they're honoring me. And so I get on stage and I start my little rap, but my wife is with me. Usually my wife's not with me, and she's part of the show. You know, she's a comedian too.
Right.
And so I think about 3/4 of the way through my rap, she stands up, just gives me give him the light sign. You know? That's enough. Get him off the stage.
Get him off the stage.
This is my wife.
You're fucking heckler out there.
Yeah. She's saying, okay, we've heard it.
Up next.
Oh, I laugh. But in the end, I had some old guys come up to me, you know, and were very moved, very touched, you know, because you know, like I say, when they're not paying you,
Right.
then you have a license to do a stream of consciousness,
Right.
you know, and that's where my consciousness was at the time, and so I kind of explained my life that I was destined to do what I do, right from the beginning, right from my earliest memories, because I was separated from my mother. She after she gave birth to me, I think I was about a year or so old. She got TB.
Ooh.
And then I got, of course, we all got examined, and then they found a spot on my lung, which was pleurisy. And so my earliest memories was in a hospital. And that's why I was never really a good athlete, because I spent too much of my time in bed and not enough time developing the legs.
Right.
And so it turned out to be a blessing, you know, because then I never hurt myself. But I learned, I was like very, you know, I was on a path right from the beginning, and throughout my whole life, and I learned a lot of spiritual wisdom early in my life, and but it didn't stop me from, you know, I didn't parlay it into a career.
Right.
I parlayed into life, into real life. And so, you know, everything was an accident with me. I accidentally got into music. You know, I had no urge to play music. It was something I could do.
Right.
And when a fiddle player that we used to lived across the field from me, that's how far I go.
Wow.
When he was building his house, he was building it himself. I used to roller skate on the deck that he built first.
That was in Canada?
The floor, and we became friends. And then he was a fiddle player, and again, I had musical abilities, but you know, it was like just for my own enjoyment. But he heard that I could play guitar, and when his guitar player never showed up, he enlisted me, and I got early training playing for dances as a backup guitar player. And so that's what gave me my whole habits in life. And so, because he would tell me, you know, he gave me lessons of how to entertain an audience. He said, give them what they want. Give the audience what they want.
That's what they're there for.
If they want the same tune over and over again, play it over and over again. And he made me keep the rhythm, keep that beat, you know, and he'd pound that into me very nicely. And to give you an idea, it was a house party, right? And everybody's drinking. You know, it was Canada back in the 40s, 50s, early 50s. And everybody's drinking. That was a whole thing, you know. You show up at a party with your beer under each arm, you know. And so for payment, they would give the kid a beer.
How old were you?
The taste, so I'd put the beer under my chair.
How old were you?
I was 8. Hey, give the kid a beer. 8, 9, 10.
Oh.
And I played, and then when I was in Army cadets, I ended up with a full-blood Sarsi Native Indian guitar player named Dick Bird. And he was an Elvis Presley impersonator eventually, because we were there when Elvis first started, and we were playing before Elvis. And so I was his backup guitar player, you know. And so everything in my life has been an accident, you know. I just get shoved here and pushed there, and you know. Now I went to Bible camp when I was really 8 years old. You know, 8, 9 years old, went to Bible camp.
I was drinking. I was playing music, drinking beers. I was playing music, drinking beers, and going to Bible camp.
I got the award for being the nicest kid at Bible camp. I got the guy award. There was a girl got an award, and I got the guy award. And I went there with my brother. And I have had an older brother. He died, but he was 3 years older than me, and so I was just his responsibility. Take care of your brother. And then after I made it big in the entertainment business, the last thing my mother said to me before she died was, "Take care of your brother."
Wow. So, a lot of people, when you're talking about the things that have kind of formed you, I think you see, like, especially when you get in the entertainment side and go that route where people, you hear like Matthew McConaughey beating bongos and, doing that shit. And it's like he goes off on a tangent or, whatever it is. But you kind of like your life has been formed and you just steadied that path, as you went along. And it doesn't seem like anything consumed you. It seems like you've always just kind of continued that path.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
That doesn't happen all the time.
To this day, I've got a little trick. I'll pass it on to you. It's I've got my son doing it, everybody doing it, is that what you do is try to keep positive thoughts in your mind at all times. And when you find yourself getting negative thoughts, be it worrying about the past, remorse, or worry about the future, like projecting what could happen, might happen, the best way to stay in the moment is to change your thought and change it. And the easiest way to change it, this is what I do all the time, is think of God. That's the easiest way to change your thought. Just think of God. And you don't have to do any kind of ritual or prayer or anything like that. Just put the word
G-O-D.
God. Put the word God. That's the most powerful word on the planet. Always has been. Because look at all the religions. What do they all worship?
God.
Their version, but God.
Right.
And that's the only thing. And when you do that, that word is so powerful. It's in the Bible too, and it's in the commandments. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. I am the Lord thy God. That was the militant. That's what they had, because Moses was militant, and so he treated his people like an army. This is what you got to do. But the magic of that word, just try it yourself.
Yeah.
When you lose your phone or lose anything, just put the word God in your mind, and you watch miracles happen. No matter what it is, how big or small, whatever it is, just change your thought. And when you change your thought, it doesn't take long. And I've left this with a few people, and I've got a couple of guys that come up to me, "Hey, you got me saying my prayers again, man." I pray every night.
You fucker.
yeah. But their lives are so incredible, because we're put on this earth just to realize the fullness of where we're living, and because we're observers. You see, none of this would exist if we weren't here to observe it. Right? To behold. That's why they say, "Behold, behold." What is a beholder? It's a person that says, because if you do an incredible painting and only you see it, then it's really nothing.
Right.
You haven't done a whole
beauty
lot.
is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, but the idea is that a lot of people you have to share that with people. You have to share it with other beholders, and that's when it becomes something real. And like words too, you can talk into a vacuum, but if no one hears you, but that one word, that's all you have to think about.
Right. And
just change, and it's so easy to do.
Yeah.
And and there's people, that poo-poo, they don't believe, non-believers in that. That's fine. It doesn't matter.
And it's funny that you're saying that, because and I'm not an overtop religious person, but my dad would say the same exact thing. And that's what he would tell me the same exact thing.
Yeah.
you know, and you'll get through it. You know, it was always one of those things, you know, and time shall pass.
Yeah.
And like you said, you know, on the art side of it, I have, you know, I have some watercolors and whatnot that my fiance would be like, how much did you spend on this fucking thing? You know, I find it in the garage. It's like, what, this is, I'm like, fuck that. That was $11,000. What the hell did you spend? You spent that on what? So maybe I just need to show.
It's a beholder.
Listen,
it's in the eye of the beholder.
I'm trying to behold that thing to keep it in the fucking house is all I'm doing. It's like that thing.
Think about this. Hey, think about this. You think of all the crap that Picasso went through when he first started doing his art. Comedians, artists, what do you call it? Cartoonists.
Right.
Made so much fun of his art. What's it selling for now?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is like I'm watching this thing. Like I think I have to put one of those fucking alarm things on all those watercolors that I have. I've actually taken some of them I have in the office because I know nobody's going to touch them here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, Tommy,
man, I gotta go.
Yeah. Well, that's where we're at.
Yeah,
I gotta thank you, man. This has been amazing. And, you know, and just so you know, once again, you may not have thought that it was planned. You know, we planned that first part of this and, yeah, I know it's kind of crazy, but a lot of people here were like, listen, it'll be the quickest fucking podcast you ever had. Or, you know, he's either going to look at you and hit fucking end or it'll be a good one. And I think we definitely pulled the latter part of it. And I have to thank you because, truly, you know, I am a big fan and you have, you know, that whole side of my life was formed in some ways, you know, off of things that you've done. And what an honor for me to sit screen to screen. I'd love to have it in person. But you know, this is how times are right now. So with that being said, there's no better way to go out than with something like this.
You're going to light it up?
Do you know what that is?
It's a joint.
No, you can't even see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the real one. The real one. So with that being said, this is, and look at it, even got a Bic lighter. I don't know how this thing's going to light.
You need a long arm to do that. Oh, is that a real joint? Oh my God. Look at that.
Oh, fuck.
That is a real joint.
Fuck, there's like 60 pounds of paper in it.
Oh, yeah, that's not too good.
Listen, I didn't inhale.
Whoa.
Mr. Chong.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Giving me this time is fucking really pumped me up. All right, everybody, listen.
Bye.
Tommy Chong, PV Unfiltered, the #1 cannabis podcast in the nation. Thank you so much. Peace out.